Founder of the family of Harsh was Pushyabhuti. Pushyabhutis were the feudatories of the Guptas. They called themselves Vardhanas. After the Han invasions, they assumed independence. First important king of Pushyabhuti, Prabhakar Vardhan, capital Thaneshwar, north of Delhi. He assumed the title Maharaja Dhiraj and Param Bhattarak. After his death, elder son Rajyavardhan came to the throne. He had to face problems right from the time of his accession. His sister Rajeshri had married the Maukhari ruler Grihavarman. The ruler of Malwa, Devgupta, in league with Shashank, the ruler of Bengal, had killed Grihavarman. Immediately on hearing this news, Rajyavardhan marched against the king of Malwa and routed his army. But before he could return to his capital, he was treacherously murdered by Shashank. In the meantime, Rajashri escaped into the forests. Harsh now succeeded his brother at Thanishar. His first responsibility was to rescue his sister and to avenge the killings of his brother and brother in law. He first rescued his sister when she was about to immolate herself. Harsh Military Congress. In his first expedition, Harsh drove out Sasank from Kannauj. He made Kannauj his new capital. This made him the most powerful ruler of India. Harsh fought against Dhruv Sen II of Vallabhi and defeated him. Dhruv Sen II became a vassal. The most important military campaign of Harsh was against the western Chalukya ruler Pulakeshin II. Both the accounts of Winsing and inscriptions of Pulakeshin II provide the details of this campaign. Harsh, with an ambition to extend his kingdom south of the Narmada River, marched against the Chalukya ruler. But the Ayol inscription of Pulakeshin II mentions the defeat of Harsh by Pulakeshin, who, after his achievement, assumed the title Parameshwar. Wan Singh's accounts also confirm the victory of Pulakeshin. Harsh led another campaign against the ruler of Sindh, which was an independent kingdom, but it is doubtful whether his Sindh campaign was a successful one. Nepal had accepted Harsh's overlordship. Harsh established his control over Kashmir and its rulers and tributes to him. He also maintained cordial relations with Bhaskar Varman, the ruler of Assam. Har's last military campaign was against the kingdom of Kaling in Orissa, and it was a success. Thus, Hers established his hold over the whole of North India. The regions, modern Rajasthan, Punjab, UP, Bihar, and Orissa were under his direct control. But his sphere of influence was much more extensive. The peripheral states such as Kashmir, Sindh, Vallabhi, and Kamrup acknowledged his sovereignty. Harsh and Buddha. In his early life, Harsh was a devout Shiv, but later he became an ardent Hinayan Buddhist. When Singh converted him to Mayan Buddhism, Harsh prohibited the use of animal food in his kingdom and punished who kill any living being. He erected thousands of stupas and established travelers' rests all over his kingdom. He also erected monasteries at the sacred places of Buddhists. Once in 5 years, he convened a gathering of representatives of all religions and honored them with gifts and costly presents. He brought the Buddhist monks together frequently to discuss and examine the Buddhist doctrine. Assembly. Harsh organized a religious assembly at Kannauj to honor the Chinese pilgrim Huan Sing. Towards the close of his reign, he invited representatives of all religious sects. It was attended by 20 uh, kings, 1,000 scholars from the Nalanda University, 3,000 Hinayanists and Mahayanists, 3,000 Brahmins and Jains. The assembly went on continuously for 23 days. When Singh explained the values of Mahayan doctrine and established its superiority over others. However, violence broke out and there were acts of arson. There was also an attempt on the life of the life of hers. Soon it was brought under control and the guilty were punished. On the final day of the assembly, Wen Singh was honored with costly presents. Next है Allahabad Conference. Wen Singh mentions in his account about the conference held at Allahabad known as Prayag. It was the one among the conferences routinely convened by Harsh once in 5 years. Harsh
gave away his enormous wealth as gifts to the members of all religious sects. According to Ensing, Harsh was so lavish that he emptied the treasury and even gave away the clothes and jewels he was wearing. His statement might be one of admiring exaggeration. Harsh administration. The administration of Hers was organized on the same lines as the Gupta did. When Singh gives a detailed picture about this, the king was just in his administration and punctual in discharging his duties. He made frequent visits of inspection throughout his dominion. The day was too short for him. Taxation was also light, and forced labor was also rare. One sixth of the produce was collected as land tax. Cruel punishments of the Mauryan period continued in the times of Harsh. When Singh condemned the trials as barbarous and superstitious, Harsh's army consisted of the traditional four divisions: foot, horse, chariot, and elephant. The number of cavalry was more than 1 lakh and the elephants more than 60,000. This was much more than that of Mauryan army. The maintenance of public records was the salient feature of Hearst's administration. The archive of the Hearst period was known as Nilopitu. Nilopitu जो है वो archive है Hearst period की, as it was under the control of special officials. Both good and bad events happened during his time, and uh, time had been recorded. अब हम सोसाइटी और इकोनॉमी की बात कर लेते हैं. Both Van and Huan Singh portray the social life in the times of Harsh. The fourfold division of the society, Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra, were prevalent. The Brahmins were the privileged section of the society and they were given land grants by the kings. The Kshatriyas were the ruling class. The Vaishyas were mainly traders. When Singh mentioned that Shudras practiced agriculture, there existed many subcastes. The position of women was not satisfactory. The institution of Swayamvar, the choice of choosing her husband, had declined. Remarriage of widows was not permitted, particularly among the higher castes. The system of dowry had also become common. The practice of sati was also prevalent. When Singh mentioned three ways of disposal of the dead: cremation, water burial, and exposure in the woods. The trade and commerce had declined during Harsh period. This is evident from the decline of trade centers, less number of coins, and slow activities of merchant guilds. The decline of trade in turn affected the handicrafts industry and agriculture. Since there was no large scale demand for goods, the farmers began to produce only in a limited way. This led to the rise of self sufficient village economy. In short, there was a sharp economic decline as compared to the economy of Gupta period. Cultural progress. The art and culture of Harsh period are very few, and mostly followed the Gupta style. When Singh describes the glory of the monastery with many stories built by Harsh at Nalanda, he also speaks of a copper statue of Buddha with 8 feet in height. The brick temple of Lakshman at Sirpur, with its rich architecture, is assigned to the period of Harsh. Harsh was a great patron of learning. His biographer Ban Bhatt adorned his court. Harsh Charit, he wrote Kadambari. Other literary figures in Harsh court were Matang Divakar and the famous Bhartrihari, who was the poet, philosopher, and grammarian. Hers himself authored three plays: Ratnavali, Priyadarshika, and Naganand. Hers patronized the Nalanda University by his liberal endowments. It attained international reputation as a center of learning during his reign. Weinstein visited the Nalanda University and remained as a student for some time. Nalanda University. The Chinese travelers of ancient India mentioned a number of educational institutions. The most famous among them were the Hinayan University of Vallabi and Mahayan University of Nalanda. Wenzing gives a very valuable account of the Nalanda University. The term Nalanda means giver of knowledge. It was founded by Kumar Gupta I during the Gupta period. It was patronized by his successors and later by Harsh. The professors of university were called Panditas. Some of its renowned professors were Tingnag, Dharmpal, Sthiramati, and Silbhadra.
Dharmpal was a native of Kanchipuram and he became the head of the Nalanda University. Nalanda University was a residential university and education was free, including the boarding and lodging. It was maintained with the revenue derived from 100 to 200 villages endowed by different rulers. Though it was a Mahayana university, different religious subjects like Vedas, Hinayan doctrine, Sankhya, and Yoga philosophies were also taught. In addition to that, general subjects like logic, grammar, astronomy, medicine, and art were in the syllabus. It attracted students not only from different parts of India but from different countries of the East. Admission were made by means of an entrance exam. The entrance test was so difficult that not more than 30% of the candidates were successful. Discipline was very strict, more than lectures. Discussion played an important part, and the medium of instruction was Sanskrit. Recent archaeological excavations have brought to light the ruins of the Nalanda University. It shows the grandeur of this center of learning and confirms the account given by the Chinese pilgrims. It had numerous classrooms and a hostel attached to it. According to Itzing, the Chinese pilgrim, there were 3,000 students on its roll. It had an observatory and a great library housed in three buildings. Its fame rests on the fact that it attracted scholars from various parts of the world. It was an institution of advanced learning and research.